As always, hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. Rich is making another video about XRP today, so wherever you are in this vast planet, I hope you're all having a nice day today. I have to start with this from digital assets every day before we discuss XRP. Just now, an ex-banker revealed Ripple's and You will be astounded by what they are creating on the XRP ledger with Trump, BlackRock, and JP Morgan. To begin with, this is coming from a self-described former banker. Anyone on XR can claim to be anything. They consistently reference me as an authority even when I write a piece and they write an article on it. I don't consider myself an expert. I'm just a guy that enjoys discussing cryptocurrency, but he's right on the money. He mentions Trump, BlackRock, the global strategy, digital identification, healthcare, and XRP integration. I have since produced numerous videos about the Great Reset. This is consistent with my extensive research on the Great Reset. However, I don't believe that the Great Reset will occur anymore. I believe a reset of some kind may occur. Furthermore, I firmly believe that the president will guide us into the digital era. I absolutely think that the digital age will include digital identity. Definitely. Based on the development of artificial intelligence, they are already stating that you must have a digital identity. You can use the digital ID to demonstrate that you are who you claim to be and that you are not an artificial intelligence. Healthcare is already starting to appear on the XRP ledger. We received XRP medical care. Pharmaceutical businesses are now expressing interest in using the XRP ledger as well. Additionally, DNA is now kept on the XRP ledger. My DNA will never be added to the XRP ledger. Regarding BlackRock, they are in agreement with Ripple as well, because BlackRock and Ripple both serve the elite. When it comes to cross-border payments, Brad is seated at all of those tables thanks to the elites. However, BlackRock is still looking to profit from sources other than XRP at this time. That is what I will discuss next. Companies that remark on everything, including JP Morgan and BlackRock, don't say anything about XRP. That quiet is telling. However, we are more knowledgeable. Systems are already being developed on top of it, connected to it, and reliant on its on-demand liquidity all over the world. The fact that Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon will never discuss XRP indicates that you are in control of the future. BlackRock is currently attempting to profit from Bitcoin, as I mentioned. However, the focus is now beginning to move to Ethereum. They intend to take use of Ethereum. They will then proceed to XRP. With these assets, BlackRock hopes to generate as much revenue as possible. Because of this, JP Morgan wants to delay the implementation of the new system as much as possible. JP Morgan Chase seems perplexed to me. Can someone explain to them that bank accounts are not subject to the 0% interest regulation? Only stable coins are. Examine the checking account options that the bank provides. 0.01% or not at all. Therefore, you will never become wealthy through the bank. Most cryptocurrency users are already aware of that. You examine these stable coins at the moment, such as RLUSD. Holding RLUSD alone might earn you 4% interest. How on earth is the bank going to compete with that? They are unable to. So what is the role of JP Morgan? If they wish to remain in the game, they must collaborate with a business like Ripple. JP Morgan and Ripple have collaborated in the background for many years. I believe it began when JP Morgan sent all of the personnel to Ripple's headquarters in an attempt to obtain some of that delicious escrow. When it failed, JP Morgan turned to their political connections, and Ripple eventually found itself sued by the SEC. The lawsuit is now concluded. JP Morgan must now become engaged once more. I believe they are collaborating with Ripple in the background because of this. Goldman Sachs is probably experiencing the same issue. We already know that Wells Fargo and Bank of America are experiencing it. However, all of this has been going on for a very long period, and Dark Horse is the source of this, which is currently a topic of much discussion. With XRP, you can believe whatever you want and have your theses. Reality, however, comes directly from Joel Katz, the horse himself. Ripple will fulfill its obligations. David Schwartz is absolutely right. I believe that Ripple is capable of acting in its own best interests. It is unrealistic to expect Ripple to operate in your best interests at the expense of its own or its shareholders' interests. People immediately grab this and run with it, and they attempt to make it enjoyable. However, pay close attention to Brad's remarks, particularly the last one. He will describe Hidden Road. He will then go on to explain their unwavering commitment to making XRP the greatest asset in the world. A specific aspect of the Hidden Road acquisition, in my opinion, is that Ripple strives to be somewhat at the infrastructure layer, trying to anticipate global trends and place wagers that will pay off over many years. While I've always discussed the Hidden Road acquisition is really about continuing to develop bridges between traditional banking and decentralized finance, and this community in particular has been incredibly patient while we have fought some tough battles. And if you think it will just be, then the DeFi world will simply develop and take its place, in my opinion. I don't think so. We need to close that gap, and Ripple has been working on it for nearly 10 years. In my opinion, Hidden Road symbolizes the need for the infrastructure necessary to allow the biggest market makers and hedge funds in the world to join this ecosystem. One of the non-bank prime brokers with the quickest rate of growth is Hidden Road. The majority of brokers are traditional commercial banks, and because of the regulatory environment that is changing somewhat, those guys have been antagonistic towards cryptocurrency. However, I believe that Hidden Road is a subtle flex to the fact that hundreds of clients are using it, including the biggest financial players in the world, who cleared $3 trillion last year and are expanding rapidly. To be honest, with Ripple's balance sheet, we're only going to see that accelerate. The XRP ecosystem will benefit greatly from that. For RLUSD, that is fantastic. And I will continue to remind people that Ripple is fully committed to doing everything in our power to make XRP the most reliable, practical, and liquid digital asset in the world. For this reason, Ripple will always consider XRP to be its foundation. They make clever use of it to always provide additional usefulness to XRP. You genuinely believe Brad could care less about the holders of XRP? He also genuinely cares for XRP holders. They've always been dedicated to XRP. But Brad has also been rather outspoken in this community throughout the years. For XRP to be listed among the top 50 assets in the world, its price needs to increase to $4.48. As I mentioned in a recent video, XRP will eventually surpass all other assets in value. You're carrying something that has the ability to move anything valuable, so it's only a matter of time. When you hold XRP, you never forget what you're holding. Regulators have been encouraged to take tough measures against tokenized stocks by the World Federation of Exchanges. Be advised that they could resemble stocks but lack the same protections or privileges. They want to prevent stocks from becoming tokenized. Businesses want to use tokenization to purchase equities globally. However, why would the exchanges give a damn? The exchanges want to be a part of this. In order to address tokenization of traditional assets, including the legal and regulatory framework for running a tokenized trading system in the US, Kraken met with the SEC Crypto Task Force today. It will arrive. Therefore, the exchanges also want to profit if they are moving these tokenized assets. They want to be sure that they are part of that. In order to position themselves before the boom occurs, everyone is trying to slow down tokenization at the moment. Tell anyone interested in Bitcoin that they need to keep it for 5 years. For 5 years, you are not permitted to touch it. Why? According to Bitwise data, you have a 99.8% chance of making money if you retain Bitcoin for 5 years. They are now advising consumers to purchase Bitcoin for more than $100,000 and hold on to it for 5 years. In essence, they are stating that in order to make the 2028 run even better than the 2025 or 2024 runs, we must get as many people in as we can and get them accustomed to holding. They're attempting to accomplish that, and they consistently advise against selling Bitcoin. You pay attention to that. Michael Saylor says it this way. Finally, I would advise you to keep your Bitcoin. Thank you. The same story is promoted despite what Black Swan capitalists stated. Hold on instead of selling. Let's face it though, if no one is selling, then who is making money at the top? The insiders are to blame. The early whales are it. The bag is left in the hands of everyone else. We refer to it as exit liquidity. However, given how frequently we see it, I believe that people have stopped listening to Michael Saylor. Bitcoin Maxis is constantly discussing XRP. You have a better idea of what you are holding. XRP is comparable to early stage Google. You don't go back after you've had it. Similar to Hotmail versus Gmail. XRP will explode in the upcoming years. People should start taking notice when the Bitcoin Maxis begin to reframe the story to favor XRP. You know, I recall that Bitcoin Maxis